Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Good morning or good afternoon. If you're watching this in the afternoon, good evening. We'll cover all the bases.
Good all times of day.
Yes.
There we go.
And thank you guys for taking this ride and trip with us through the apocalypse. It's so wonderful to have you with us for this apocalyptic series of events that we're watching.
You know, it really is. I mean, this is a very exciting time. Granted, we do have to be prepared, but still there are so many things going on. It is so busy out there. And what should we be doing? Well, get ready as best as you can, because from what I see and from what I feel, they're going to, go up a notch, get a little bit tougher for a bit.
Yes, absolutely. And so just keeping track of the Texas wildfire situation right now, to give you guys a quick little update, again, there's a disaster declaration for 60 counties in Texas. Smokehouse Creek Fire is the big one. That's over 1 million acres. It's still only 3% contained. The Windy Deuce Fire, 142,000 acres, 30% contained. Grapevine Creek Fire, 30,000 acres, 60% contained. And the Magenta Fire, 2,500 acres, 65% contained. The Weather Channel is saying that the conditions are kind of a mixed bag. They're not really going to help much because the heat's going to go up. The dew point will go up, but the heat's going to go up as well this coming week. So, more of the same, even though there's changes that are definitely coming. And if you hear Stampede, it's just the two pups. They're rambunctious in the morning. When you can see this area here, this makes me think of so many different things. We were talking about 88% of the cattle in Texas is feeding up in this area. Also, that nuclear weapons facility. But it got me thinking about when they really do try to shut down the roads and the road system, because it's pretty obvious. I think the majority of people at this time do think that World War III is likely. I do think the majority of the people recognize that there is or could be sleeper cells within the migrants, immigrants, and are expecting there to be an increase in issues. So when we are looking at this area, here you see Amarillo right there, right? And the fires are just above Amarillo. This is 40, and 40 is big. Again, this is a major coast-to-coast thoroughfare from North Carolina to California. So if you did want to absolutely impact the flow of goods, products, troops, for instance, energy, resources, you would cut down the ability of these things to move freely. So a place like Amarillo is right there on 40. So having a fire in this area, we were watching before, certain bridges, have issues. Certain roadways have issues. These thoroughfares that go east-west, because the country is longer east-west, just for instance, 20 over here, 10 down south, and they ascend, in case you never noticed that, 10, 20, 40. We've taken these many, many times, very familiar with these. Then 70 and 80. Now, I haven't done the route all across 80 and 70 myself, or 90 going up. This is the area of the country that I don't know. These are the states I personally have not been to. Would like to at some point in time. If we're able to again. Everything is going to be changing so rapidly for us now. And 90, as you can see, these main thoroughfares, and also north-south ones too, like, again, I-95. Which runs all the way from Maine all the way down into Florida. So this is one of the things I ran into in Florida that really did send off bells and whistles when the evacuation was underway for the hurricane back in 2017, and we decided to evacuate. it was a parking lot. It was an absolute parking lot. And, to get from the Sarasota area over here to Pensacola, I think it took 12 to 14 hours, something like that. And literally, we were parked for a while, just sitting there. Because, again, look at Florida. Realize, 20 plus million people. There's basically two main ways. You have smaller roads that you can go to get out of the peninsula in case of emergency. So just know your situation. Know if there's any targets around you, military bases, energy, things that might be targeted by sleepy cellular units.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's so much chaos that they can create before the other chaos happens. It's about crippling individuals and making it so they can't really take care of themselves. So, we are always saying, take a look around you, figure out what you can do so that you're dependent upon yourself. Hold your light, get that spiritual practice going, because these times are coming up quick.
Yeah, they are pretty much, upon us as we are in March. Welcome to March 2024, guys. Welcome to March 2024 in the apocalypse. Meanwhile, we have some parts in Northern California that's going to see up to 12 feet of snow. And you might say, well, they need some snowpack, but it's going to add a lot of weight. And when we see these things that are always extreme, it doesn't seem like there's that many gentle storms. We had storms that rolled through last night that just felt weird, so weird. They did not feel normal. Sounded weird, felt weird, the energy. 12 feet of snow. So you're going to see a lot of records probably flying again, a lot of snowpack, which will eventually be turning into water as things heat up and it melts, and watching for the big ones perhaps to come in April or May. Hopefully we can change timelines. Everybody's consciousness is a part of changing timelines.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's consciousness. It really, really matters. And I think that's one of the keys that we're missing, is people don't believe that just little old me sitting here at home who's doing absolutely nothing can make a difference. But you can. You don't know your higher self. Your higher self is huge, and you just never know. Why do you have these inklings that the world is not as it seems? It's because your higher self is telling you, lean into my energy, use my energy, so that hopefully whatever they have planned, these hiccups, these bumps, they might not be so bad if people believe in themselves and believe that their energy can make a positive change.
Absolutely. And people are waking up in droves, and a lot of people are putting two and two together. We've seen people in local city councils calling them out, and you would swear it's EEARTS Evolutionary family that's saying to the people in political high spots, look, there's cloud seeding programs underway. We just had a flood. I'm talking about California. And of course, you have the media, which again, when you go down and you go through all these different media programs, we see they're tied to the same old companies, tied to the same old money, the same old control system that is falling apart. Oh, don't worry, cloud seeding was not connected to the California storms. And then, but how about the narrative with ouch? That narrative's fallen apart. You have more and more, and now it seems the majority. It seems the majority of at least the doctors that I see posting on X Twitter are speaking in a negative sense about that now, and maybe they're just out vocaling those that have been going along with the system, which is good, because we need to do that. There was a 4-year cloud seeding program that began November, as far as open acknowledgement to the public. This has been going on for decades and decades and decades. Longer than most people that are listening have been alive. Yeah, if your time is short, are you trying to give us a subliminal there? If your time is short, well, we look to that DEA-GEL number. We understand what you mean by that. We get you. Meanwhile, this is a cliff collapsing in California again. all the water, the snow, these nonstop atmospheric rivers are going to add to eventually what could be the big one in Cascadia. There was a swarm of 8 quakes right on the Cascadian Ridge there that is not showing at the moment. As it gets refreshed every 24 hours, we could go back and look at them. I didn't feel like that was it yet. We'll see something big before, the real event happens. But like this area, you will see swarms there from time to time. In fact, 214, we had escalated up and we had dropped back down. It's ebbing and flowing. At the moment, I don't see anything. But as far as of note to indicate that it's right here, I still think there's a few months, maybe 1 to 2. But it could happen anytime in April to mid-May. It would be my guess. Again, just a best guesstimate with that gut feeling. But the one thing I did notice when I was looking like longer out was a lot of activity, which is centered up here through Idaho. I mean, heading over towards Yellowstone. We don't get that Yellowstone's going to go, thankfully. But we do get there's going to be a lot of volcanoes going in the Pacific Northwest. And again, if timelines haven't shifted, well, this was a marker that the guides were giving us. So this is 30 days, all magnitudes. And if we just want to zoom into this area, you see about 415 quakes. Again, you'll have swarms, and we'll have bigger swarms than this. But I do think that we are going to see volcanic activity in the Pacific Northwest shortly. And so there is a lot of flooding going on all over the world. Bolivia's mayor declares Cobija a disaster zone due to heavy rain, displacing thousands, causing damage to homes and businesses. As you can see, 42 lost their lives, 31,000 families affected in this flooding. Everywhere you look, we're seeing either drought or extreme flooding events. And we understand there's agendas underway. Look how happy he is. I mean, it's amazing how nice people are around the world. I do think that most humans, I really do think most humans are nice. If you're in an area where people are not that nice on average, I got to venture to guess it's probably because of all the frequencies that are around that area. From the travels that I've done, and I haven't traveled the entire world, that's for sure, mostly here in the Western Hemisphere. But again, we do watch a lot of more history type things and things that are showing how people live in different areas. And I think most people are honestly helpful, nice, and wanting to have peaceful lives. I think it's a manipulation that is causing and does cause people to behave in a negative, violent manner. As you see, this is over in Malawi. Just again, massive flooding. What's all this doing? It's destroying the food supply. This is Balakistan, where they're looking for donations. Everywhere you look, there's massive floods going on. And, again, people will risk their lives for another soul, whether it's canine or human. We'll rise up in this time, those that are holding love, compassion, and peace in their hearts, because they want us holding enmity in our hearts. They want us being against each other. They want us just feeling everything that's negative, because really the controllers are miserable souls.
It's just what they've done. They've created so much trauma, and when trauma runs rampant in someone's life, the things that come to them, they might really react to them in a very bad way because of the trauma, not because that they're bad people. One thing that I've learned through my lifetime is hurt people hurt people. So, if you're ever in a position where somebody is being quite nasty or quite snappy, understand that they are probably really missing the point of the conversation, the whole point of interaction, the whole point of what might be going on, because they're afraid they're going to get hurt again. It's really curious how subconscious steps in when something is going on in your life, and subconscious says, hey, I got this, don't you worry about it. I'm just going to react this way, and you don't have to do anything. Just let me get it. So I think we do need to guard against that during this time, and just do our best, and be forgiving and be understanding, and just really keep that in mind, is that the system has deliberately moved forward and created so much trauma just so that when things do break down, it'll make it harder for us to get along together.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was another case of extreme weather change as the temperature dropped 45 degrees in like no time. We've felt sort of similar to that, where it just feels like you were ready for summer. We were 85 and then, around 50. This obviously was even more intense with strong winds and sudden freeze hitting the Atlantic side of Canada. We have to be prepared. We have to have backup at this point in time to our backup. And, we ourselves are not, we're probably better prepared than most because this is what we do. But we're nowhere near ready. And, again, this is just the fact that most people are not going to be ready for what's underway and what's still coming. And so Popo sends some ash 155 miles in the air towards the Gulf of Mexico. It is a Mexican volcano that's very active, and so it does do that. The other thing that I guess is common in California is driving donuts in intersections and peeling out. Well, this was a guy that crashed at a sideshow on accident while he was on his way home from work. He got viciously attacked. Shot at everything. And then they obviously tore up his truck. This is in the Bay Area, by the way, of California. And they set it on fire. They followed him into a 7-Eleven. And they looted the store and continued to attack him in the store. Again, does it seem like some people are going crazy out there? It does. And where is this usually that we see this? We see this in the cities with lots of signals. So I do think there's a level of control and frequency involved in this. And I'm sure Cindy agrees.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. Frequency is everything. And I couldn't express that anymore, knowing and understanding how vibration can affect people's mood, affect the way people react. It could make the difference if you're going to have a good day, if you're going to have a bad day, if that frequency is tweaked just right. It can do a lot of damage. It can make someone, get angry at their dog, get angry at their partner, get angry at their kids, kick the can down the road, throw a rock, and just really create a cascade of very negative energy. And I can't think of a more ripe place other than these cities where there's these frequencies that are flying all over the place and just really touching people on their last nerve.
Yeah, absolutely. Venezuela stops accepting deportation flights from the U.S., sending their own people back. They won't accept them back. Again, so many reports saying they're emptying their jails. And then now we're seeing so many reports of attacks on U.S. citizens by people from other countries that are criminals. And people losing their lives here in the U.S. because somebody did enter illegally and took their lives. So it should not be a surprise because, they are aligned with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now another half dozen nations, and it's growing rapidly. And they have been under sanctions by the U.S. and NATO. China calls for independent, fully sovereign state of Palestine and a ceasefire in Gaza. They've brought this up more than once. It's all really a question of when they move because they haven't moved yet. And if Alois Erlmeiler is correct in his timeline, They'll move when Russia moves in a more decisive manner into the other countries, not just Ukraine, when they finish their stalling, because they have been stalling in Ukraine. They have not been truly trying 100%. No, they've been just basically utilizing these 2 years to drain all the weaponry from NATO before they go. And we've already seen massive shipments from North Korea and from Iran going into Russia. This has all been prepared for again, decades, and even longer in reality. So this is all part of the plan. And when China goes, they don't go into Taiwan. They come into the U.S. in force, and according to what Alloy saw. And then you have Washington's vision of the U.S. being invaded. You have many, actually, people that have seen this in their lifetime. The IDF has called up 300,000 more reservists. I saw that post like a while back. And now I'm seeing more people just bringing this up, because the line of thinking is they're not going to be happy doing what's been done to Gaza. They're going to move to the north and perhaps go straight up into Lebanon and try to clean out Hezbollah. The reality is, when we look to Netanyahu, I mean, he's surrounded by a lot of Draco. He is, so diabolically controlled and, as evil at this point in time as an entity as you can imagine on the planet. Meanwhile, you have the RAF retiring 30 quick reaction alert Typhoon jets to be used to protect Britain from potential attacks. Why would they do this? Because they don't want NATO winning. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, that's right. When I look at, when I look at Putin, he's, none of them are okay. Just none of them are okay. This is a really big mess, and I can feel it coming to a head. I can feel all of these leaders are going to start turning and coming at each other at a certain level. But then we can never forget that there's even another level above that, where there is an alien type of energy that we cannot see, that puppets human beings. And I really think once people can finally see that, once that pineal gland pops open and they see, I mean, even just people in mainstream media, once they can see, they'll be changing their tune. I mean, things will change so quickly once people understand that it's not other humans.
Yeah, and I think it makes people very, very uncomfortable to understand that we are in the fishbowl. We're in the fishbowl. They're looking at us as if we are fish in the fishbowl, or the ant farm. This is an alien ant farm. That just is something that's terrifying for some people, and they cannot accept it. They can't face it. I saw one comment on Heart's Home where somebody said, "Oh, the Galactic Federation is a CIA psyop," and it's like, no, you might wish that to be the case. But it's not a psyop. But yes, there are a lot of psyops involving the Galactic Federation. But they're throwing out there, like with all these different versions, Galactic Federation of Planets, the Galactic Federation of Light, other channelers coming out and thinking maybe they are complete disinfo too. I think there's probably both. Some that think they are channeling Galactic Federation, but in reality it is Voice of God technology being utilized. So, again, how can you trust us? Just look at our track record and discern. Feel into our energy. What do you feel? Do we give off a sense of opulence and that energy of the control system? Are we? What is our motivation? What do you feel our motivation is? So we ask you to feel into that. And people are discerning, and they are really, really understanding the bigger picture. And that's terrifying for the controllers. Very terrifying, because humanity has so much ability far beyond what the controllers can actually do, even those that are the true controllers. The extraterrestrial component of this has traded its higher abilities for technology, and they're stuck, but we're not, and that just it pisses them off, and it also terrifies them.
You know, and I just kind of remembered last night I had this dream. It was really kind of not strange, but everyone was holding on to their old cell phones, trying to make a new communication grid. So I think those old cell phones probably have a purpose. You know, I don't throw mine out. I kind of keep mine around. I like all the old pictures and stuff, but I do like all the old phones that are not 5G capable, that tie into another modality of communication, and maybe those will come in handy one of these days. It was a pretty real dream. I was just kind of curious.
And we have water fluoridation could be illegal in Australia after the Supreme Court finds informed consent is needed to administer a medical procedure in a certain dates for man case. The pushback is getting stronger. And, you know, we can't change what happened in the past in this particular timeline from our particular perspective at this point in time. And I'm careful in the way I word that, because I do think there is the potential to what we might view as time travel, but in reality, I think it's just it's part of the multiverse, and it's an alternate reality that we do, and we might be living in an alternate reality right now. And you know, again, we go deep into those types of things on video to video at occasion. Here you have Environment Canada issuing a winter storm watch across southern and central Saskatchewan. Yeah, lots of snow going there, and here you have this guy just meditating at the gas station. I thought this was just classic. Yeah, March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. Oh, the symbolism right there. The lion and the lamb. You know, if you guys missed it, please do go check out Heart's Home, because we were talking about lions and spiritual stuff and a lot of good stuff on Heart's Home. Yeah, lots of good stuff that we've shared over there. What this got me thinking about is, again, it's mind over matter. And what we are is mind. Many of you guys know Wim Hof. He's not only meditated out in extreme cold, immersed himself into absolutely frigid water, but he has his own breathing method. Again, so does pranayama, so does Qigong. These are ancient sciences which we can utilize to make ourselves more than typically human, at least more than typically human in a Kali Yuga. But this is what we are, and this is our potential. We can kind of overrule at times the laws of nature as we perceive them by the sciences given to us, because they don't tell us. They don't want us knowing what we can achieve, because they can't do it. They've traded away their higher potential. It's gone. And so they might have more money, which is nothing but illusion. They might have more, bigger houses, mansions, titles. They might be, celebrities, etc. But they don't have the potential that we do, and they can't do the things that we can do because they've traded all that away. The sadhus of the Himalayas, mysterious holy men of India, they've been seen, butt naked out there where it's side of a mountain, 40, 50 degrees below zero, meditating. They're perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. How do they do this? And they can also go days and weeks and even more without eating. And in fact, there's been many, many documentations of this. This is a reality. It's just simply that they understand. We are consciousness. The body is just a vehicle. In fact, there's been studies done that show meditation can change crime rate. It also can change temperatures. We can heat ourselves up. And, one of our sisters, Jane, over in Utah, who is just a great example of somebody that's dedicated to learning, and she studies Qigong and just studies all this and applies it to her life. And there's so many others as well. Tumo breathing, what's called bellows breath, can be used to raise your body temperature in short bursts. Again, it's manipulating our environment, but that's what we are. We're mind, and we can manipulate our environment. They can't have you knowing that.
When I look at this stuff, I kind of think, well, how is it really practical to apply this in your life? How can we use these ancient modalities to help us in a 3D world that we're in now? Because we really have to deal with what's right in front of us. I mean, it would be nice if we didn't have to worry about everything else and we could just do and be whatever we wanted. That's the original purpose, but that's not what we're looking at. A lot of energies, a lot of Kundalini energy that is being expanded right now can be very, very difficult to cope with. Meditation is one way to help that energy balance itself throughout the human body. That's so important, because what this energy does is it's wanting to force its way out wherever it's at. Expansion is expansion when it comes to this energy. And if it's getting hung up on a trauma, whether it be emotional, whether it be a surgery, whether it be physical, you're going to feel it in that area of your body. And all of these modalities, these ancient modalities, that's what helps us get through this, because human beings, this is just, it's nature happening. It's how we bloom. Everyone gets this type of energy, really, whether you want it or not. It's just they don't teach us about it, because once somebody starts getting hung up on this active light body activation, the trauma can happen and they want you to run straight to the doctor. But there's so many other ways to deal with it. I'm one of the least popular ways is, diet. Diet is so important. If your diet is not congruent with what is going on with your energy body, you're going to feel it. You're going to have reactions. So it's like we all have a responsibility. These things are happening to us, whether we want it to or not. It's not a matter. I mean, a flower blooms. It's not a matter of a question. It just blooms, and that's what we do.
Absolutely. So they put monks in a chilly room, 40 degrees. They soaked 3 by 6 foot sheets in cold water, 49 degrees, placed it over their shoulders. The monks were able to, and these were Buddhist monks, able to raise their body temperature up and literally steam dry them. And again, this is part of the realization. There is no right dogma. There is no right dogma, and people get hooked up in that, and that is one of the number one, whether it's political dogma, religious dogma, scientific dogma. There is no right dogma. Dogma divides. This is where they get us to really just do nothing but argue and be afraid to explore and understand the reality of what we are and what we can do. So, the sheets dried in about an hour from their body heat in a 40-degree room. That's just, to many people, would be insane and would say that's impossible. But no, it's not impossible. People just don't understand because they've accepted the science. It's our potential. And there's more people waking up to this fact, too. The majority of evil that is committed on Earth isn't done by human beings. It's done by reptilian and artificial intelligence disguised as human beings or controlling human beings. It really is that devil on the shoulder whispering in your ear. Yeah, they do get humans to commit crimes, often against humanity. But it's done through manipulation, whether it's tempting with wealth or, power, greed, anything, ego, in whatever way they can tempt the ego. If that doesn't work, then they'll use frequencies. And if that, again, that is not the only thing, they also use perfectly legal things that you go to your DR. Remember, there's scripts involved. Yeah, we're watching the script unfold, and the doctor will give you one as well. those things open up your mind to be taken over, your mind and body to be taken over by non-human entities. And that is the reality. It's perfectly legal because it's part of the system's biggest plan and biggest system of control. We got this. This guy's got his wink down. He's like, don't worry. Hang in there. We got this. We got this. We know what they're doing.
Yes, he's Mr. Coolio. He's got it.
As always, guys, look forward to your comments. Much love. Thanks for your support. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.